This is Mac OS Ken.
More ugliness for iPhone in China, a bad Friday night for Apple ID, and potential and pitfalls for Apple and AI. It is Monday, the 29th of April, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Use the internet the way you want to. Subscribe and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. They may disagree on which smartphone maker is in what place, but there are 3 things on which 3 of the big market trackers do agree. Smartphone sales in China were up last quarter year on year. iPhone sales in China were down, and the race is pretty tight right now. Last week, Counterpoint Research had iPhone in 3rd place, down about 19% last quarter versus the same quarter a year earlier in the Chinese market, accounting for 15.7% of smartphone sales. Similarly, IDC had iPhone tied for 3rd with a 15.6% share of the smartphone market, though that firm only had iPhone down 6.6% year on year. Things look decidedly bad for iPhone when one checks numbers from Canalys. That firm issued new numbers on Friday that had iPhone in 5th place for the March quarter, down 25% versus the same quarter a year ago, accounting for a 15% market share. Seriously though, check out how close these numbers are. By the Canalys count, it's Apple in 5th with shipments of 10 million units and a 15% market share. Vivo in 4th with shipments of 10.3 million units and a 15% market share. Honor in 3rd with shipments of 10.6 million units and a 16% share. Oppo in 2nd with shipments of 10.9 million units and a 16% share. Huawei is in 1st with shipments of 11.7 million units and a 17% share of mainland China's smartphone market. Comments on how Chinese smartphone makers might further differentiate themselves from iPhone could also be read as ways iPhone might bring back growth. The piece quotes Canalys research analyst Lucas Zhang saying, "The generative AI-capable smartphone presents important opportunities for Chinese vendors to differentiate in the high end in 24 to challenge Apple in their home market." Canalys forecasts generative AI-capable smartphones will reach 12% of shipments in 2024 in mainland China, ahead of the global average of 9%. Vendors are actively engaging consumers by developing interesting AI use cases and integrating AI features into their latest flagship launches with large marketing spends to educate consumers. I wonder whether Apple has heard anything about AI and whether it has plans for it. The negative numbers from Counterpoint, Canalys, and IDC are sure to come up on Apple's next earnings call, which it's coming up real quick, like this Thursday. Q2 fiscal year 24 earnings will be released after the bell on Thursday, the 2nd of May. Look for that press release around 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. After that, Apple execs and financial analysts will meet by phone for color and the old Q&A. That'll happen at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You can hear the call as it happens on Apple's site. It will be made available as a podcast soon after. Bloggers will blog, tutors will toot, and we will hit the highs and lows right here on Friday. Now, this past Friday was a pain-in-the-neck night for a number of Apple ID users. 9to5Mac had word of an Apple ID outage of some sort impacting users. A lot of people posted about the issue on social media, according to the report, saying they had been logged out of their Apple ID across multiple devices Friday night and forced to reset their password before logging back in. And O'Darby Lines, formerly of the Angry Mac Bastards podcast, now just a freelance Angry Mac Bastard, he did have this issue, angrily complaining on Mastodon on Sunday that he was still having to deal with the repercussions. When 9 to 5 Mac checked Apple's system status page on Friday, there was no indication of any issue with any of Apple's services. I thought they might have backfilled that later, but checking Sunday night, there was no indication that there had been any problem. Starting to think everybody made this up, but not really. If I hear anything about it, I'll let you know. Apple and OpenAI may be in an intensifying round of talks for the future. Bloomberg says the Cupertino company has renewed discussions with the generative AI startup about folding some of what it does into what iPhone is expected to do later this year. Citing secret people said to know something about something, the piece says the two companies have begun discussing terms of a possible agreement on how the OpenAI features would be integrated into Apple's iOS 18, the next iPhone operating system, said the people, who asked not to be identified because they like their knees bending the way they do currently. As gets go, this one's got little. Quoting Bloomberg, Apple hasn't made a final decision on which partners it will use, and there's no guarantee that a deal will be worked out. It's possible that the company ultimately reaches an agreement with both OpenAI and Google, or picks another provider entirely. Hey, we're expecting iOS 18 in like 5 months, right? I know that's a lot of time, but it's not a long time. Or vice versa. From the seemingly sacred to the decidedly profane, Apple has booted a few apps from the App Store. iMore says the Cupertino company has yoinked 3 AI apps that could be used to create non-consensual nude images using the power of AI image generation. What's funny, not funny, Apple could not find these apps that they approved for sale in the App Store. According to the piece, 404 Media found the apps in Meta's ad library, an archive of ads on Meta's platform. 3 ads were for apps that could be downloaded from the App Store. Once informed, Meta responded by pulling the ads, though Apple failed to respond until 404 Media ran a report on it. Apple finally removed the apps once 404 found the file for them. Quoting iMore, the report notes that the removal happened only after 404 Media provided Apple with links to the specific apps and their related ads, indicating the company was not able to find the apps that violated its policy itself. Cool. More news in a moment, but first I am very happy to welcome ExpressVPN back as a sponsor of macOS Ken. I've had other VPNs that I don't think about nearly as much. ExpressVPN just stays on for me. Personally, I like it because it protects my privacy. With a VPN, your internet traffic travels through a secure tunnel that protects your personal information and communication, even on unsecured public Wi-Fi networks like in a coffee shop or at an airport. Here's the thing that most impresses me about ExpressVPN. It's the speed. I've had VPNs in the past that have slowed my connection to a crawl. One time I got halfway through a recorded video conversation with ExpressVPN running before I realized it was still running. I only noticed because I noticed. My connection speed was not affected at all. At least not that I was aware of. If my computer is on, ExpressVPN is on. Now where it gets really fun is when you want to watch something that's somewhere besides where you are. Let's say you want to watch something that's on Netflix UK, but you're in the US. Choose a UK server from the huge list ExpressVPN has to offer. Go onto Netflix and watch whatever that thing is. So whether you want to access a literal world of content or just keep the world out of your business, you should try ExpressVPN. Use my link right now, expressvpn.com/macOSKen, and you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/macOSKen to learn more. expressvpn.com/macOSKen. New homes for HomePods. 9 to 5 Mac ran a piece in the wee small hours of Monday morning saying that Apple had put HomePod and HomePod Mini up for order in Malaysia and Thailand. The relatively smart speakers will begin shipping in those countries on Friday, the 10th of May. Apple has a question for Vision Pro owners. How you like me now? Mac Rumors says the Cupertino company has been soliciting feedback from folks who own the blessed thing. According to the report, Apple asks about Vision Pro satisfaction, environment usage, favorite features, what it's being used for, how often it's used, and how long usage sessions last. Apple also asks about guest mode and who else uses the Vision Pro. That last one is kind of funny to Mac Rumors given how not multi-user friendly Apple's headset is said to be. The report goes on to talk about recent word from Bloomberg that usage has dwindled and requests for demos have dried up. Then there's the questionable word from Ming-Chi Kuo that has Apple cutting orders because uptake has been terrible. Yeah, those things could have spurred Apple to ask after the device. Also, though, we are almost exactly 3 months past the first round of Apple Vision Pro units going out. Seems possible that Apple had planned to give folks a few weeks before asking, how you like me now? It couldn't do much at the box office, but the spy comedy Argylle is still standing near the top of the streaming charts. Cult of Mac says the Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Henry Cavill, Samuel L. Jackson, and just about everybody else movie is scoring huge on the charts of both Real Good and Just Watch. The former had it at number 2 for its second week of streaming, while the latter had it at number 3. And finally today, I'm not sure why this excites me personally, but it does. 9 to 5 Mac says Warner Brothers is releasing the Apple TV Plus series Ted Lasso on Blu-ray. Now, if you're unclear what, the report explains Ted Lasso was created and produced by Warner Brothers and licensed to Apple for streaming exclusivity and other rights. That is what allows for the creation of the disc release, as presumably Apple did not retain those physical media rights indefinitely. Nothing official on this, it seems. 9 to 5 Mac does not say where it heard this, just that it has. The site is under the impression that the Blu-ray version will be marketed as a complete edition, including all 3 seasons of the show. I think I know why I'm excited. I'm excited for anybody who hasn't seen this show yet, who maybe will now. I'm kind of jealous, but really I'm just happy for people who get to see it for the first time. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Use the internet the way you want to. Subscribe and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.